Hare Krishna, somebody can please lead the invocation prayers.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, may I do?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Om Ajnana Timidandasya Gananjaya Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitamena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namo. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitamena Bhutale Shayam Rupa Kada Mayam Tadatisha Padantikam. Bande Ham Sri Guru Sri Uttapada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Shakragatam Shahagana Raghunatam Bhitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam পরিজ্ঞান সাহিতম কৃষ্ণ চৈতন্য দেবম শ্রী রাধা কৃষ্ণ পদন সহগণ ললিতা শ্রী বিশাখান্বিতংশ্চ হে কৃষ্ণ করুণা সিন্ধু দীনবন্ধু জগৎপতে গোপেশা গোপিকা কান্ত রাধা কান্ত নমস্তুতে তপ্ত কাঞ্চন গৌরাঙ্গী রাধে বৃন্দাবনেশ্বরী ঋষভানুসুতে দেবী প্রণামামি হরিপ্রিয়ে वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धु एव च पतितानां पावनभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna, thank you all for coming to read and discuss Srila Prabhupada and Krishna's instructions. And thank you in advance for taking up responsibility to follow and apply these instructions in your day-to-day life. Today we will discuss inquiries submitted by you on Canto 1, chapters 18 and 19. Question number 1 says that when Arjuna was in crisis, he found peace in remembering Krishna's instructions. So the question says, which specific verses or instructions from Gita do you recommend we memorize first to help us stay steady during our own personal Kurukshetra moments? So in the chat, I will share Mangalarti, Samsara Davalana prayers and the Guru Puja prayers. You can download and we will hear these. These are one of the points you can try to follow for yourself to remember these Mangalarti and Guru Puja prayers. So let me first share in the chat and you can follow along the prayers when we hear through those prayers. Okay, let me find. So I posted in the chat. Download for yourself. They are just images. And we will hear these. So as we hear through these, you can please try to recite these prayers at your respective places, you can stay muted, just recite. So when misery strikes, meaning our personal Kurukshetra moments, you try to remember these Mangalarti, Samsara Davalana prayer or Guru Puja prayers. Now, Mangalarti, each prayer ends with Vande Guru Charanaravindam, means I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master. So while reciting these prayers, visualize and offer obeisances to Srila Prabhupada, or if you have a living spiritual master, then visualize and offer obeisances to your living spiritual master as well as to Srila Prabhupada as well. Sumnima, you want to read the translation of just the first part, the Samsara Davalana prayers, the English translation only, which starts with the spiritual master is receiving.
Yes. Hare Krishna. Uh, the spiritual master is receiving benediction from the ocean of mercy. Just as a cloud pours water on forest fire to extinguish it, so the spiritual master delivers materially afflicted world by extinguishing the blazing fire of material existence. I offer my respectful obeisances onto the lotus feet of a spiritual master who is an ocean of auspicious qualities. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So let's hear these prayers. Have these prayers absorbed in your consciousness. So Swarup Damodar Prabhu is singing these beautiful prayers. Let's hear from them and we'll discuss more on the first inquiry.
संसारदावा नललीढलोका त्राणय कारुण्य गणगणत्वं संसारदावा नललीढलोका त्राणय कारुण्य गणगणत्वं संसारदावा नललीढलोका त्राणय कारुण्य घनघनत्वं संसारदावा नललीढलोका त्राणय कारुण्य घनघनत्वं प्राप्तस्य कल्याण गुणार्णवस्य वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दम् 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 महाप्रभु कीर्तन नित्य गीता वदित्रमाद्यान् मनसुरसेना महाप्रभु तरङ्गभाजो वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दम् रोमाञ्चकम्पाश्रुतरङ्गभाजो वन्दे गुरो श्री विग्रहाराधन नित्यनाना शृङ्गारतान्मन्दिरमर्जनादो श्रीविग्रहाराधन नित्यनाना शृङ्गारतान्मन्दिरमर्जनादो युक्तश्च भक्तांश्च नियुञ्जतोऽपि वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दम् युक्तस्य भक्तांश्च नियुञ्जतोऽपि वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दम् चतुर्विधा श्री भगवत् प्रसादो स्वदन्नत्रेता हरिभक्त संघा चतुर्विधा श्री भगवत् प्रसादो स्वदन्नत्रेता हरिभक्त संघा कृत्वैव त्रेप्ते भजत सदैव वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दम् भजत सदैव वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दम् श्रीराधिका माधवयोरपारा माधुर्यलीला गुणरूपनाम्ना माधुर्यलीला गुणरूपनाम्ना प्रतिक्षणा स्वादनलोलुपस्य वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दम् प्रतिक्षणा स्वादनलोलुपस्य वन्दे गुरो श्री कुञ्जयो नो रतिकेलिसिद्धा ययालिभेयो तिरपेक्षणीया कुञ्जयो नो रतिकेलिसिद्धा ययालिभेयो तिरपेक्षणीया तत्रातिदाक्षा अतिवल्लभस्य वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दम् वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दम् साक्षाद्धरित्वेन समस्तशास्त्रे उक्तस्तथा भाव्यत एव साध्ये साक्षाद्धरित्वेन समस्तशास्त्रे उक्तस्तथा भाव्यत एव साध्ये किन्तु प्रभोया प्रिय एव तस्य वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दम् किन्तु प्रभोया प्रिय एव तस्य वन्दे प्रसादो यस्य प्रसादात् न गति कुतोऽपि स्तुवंस्तस्य यशस्त्रिसन्ध्यां वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दम् संसारदावानललीढलोक त्रणयकारुण्य कल्याण गुणार्णवस्य वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दम् वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दम् वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दम्.
All right, so this was Mangal Aarti, and now I'm going to play Guru Puja. So follow the same, sing the prayers at your end, you stay muted, and follow the Kartal and the Kirtan. They are very beautiful in the Guru Puja as well. And again, Swarup Damodar is singing these prayers as well. Let's hear.
श्री गुरु चरणा पद्मा केवल भक्ति सद्मा श्री गुरु चरणा पद्मा केवल भक्ति सद्मा श्री गुरु चरणा पद्मा केवल भक्ति सद्मा विनश्यते वेद गाय जहार चरितो वेद गाय जहार चरितो वेद गाय जहार चरितो वेद गाय जहार चरितो श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु अधम जनार बंधु श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु अधम जनार बंधु लोकनाथ लोकेर जीवाना लोकनाथ लोकेर जीवाना महाप्रभु करो दया देह मोरे पद छाया महाप्रभु करो दया देह मोरे पद छाया एबे जास दुषुक त्रिभुवाना एबे जास दुषुक त्रिभुवाना एबे जास दुषुक त्रिभुवाना एबे जास दुषुक त्रिभुवाना महाप्रभु करो दया देह मोरे पद छाया 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 एबे जास दुषुक त्रिभुवाना एबे जास दुषुक त्रिभुवाना एबे जास दुषुक त्रिभुवाना एबे जास दुषुक त्रिभुवाना प्रभुपाद पतित पावना प्रभुपाद पतित पावना गुरुदेव लोइलो शरणा गुरुदेव लोइलो शरणा जय प्रभुपदा 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 जय प्रभुपदा
What do you think? Questions, comments, realizations?
Transcendental Prabhuji.
Very good. Thank you for hearing with rapt attention. So the first question, as I described, that when we have our Kurukshetra moments, then what do? So I request all of you to try to attend Mangal Aarti and Guru Puja prayers at the temple, say when some pure devotee is visiting the temple, or say some spiritual master is visiting. Say my spiritual master is scheduled to come to Toronto from Saturday, August 8 to Saturday, August 15. Try to attend at Toronto Temple. these Mangalarti and Guru Puja. And for those at other your respective places, try to follow the same and absorb these prayers in your consciousness so that you can remember these during Kurukshetra moments of your own. So the question also says what verses. So I will give you a laundry list of verses that you can try to remember and recite. Not just remember, just recite also. I'm giving you few, I'm not giving you all. So start with 4.34 Bhagavad Gita. Tadvidi paripatena, pariprashnena sevaya, tekshanti te jnanam, jnanina tattvadarshina. It's a spiritual master verse. Then 9.34, manmana bhava mad bhakto, madhyaji mam namaskar, maam evasyashi yuktevam atmanam mad prayana. 2.13, tehino asmin yatha tehi, kaumaram yovanam jara, तथा देहांतर प्राप्ति धीरस तत्रान मुह्यति. Then 4.9 जन्म कर्म च मे देव्यम एवं यो वेति तत्वता त्वयक्ता देहम पुनर्जन्मम नाएति मामेति सा अर्जुना. Then 6.47 योगिनाम अपि सर्वेषु मत्कतेन अंतरात्मन श्रद्धावान भजते योम स मे युक्ततमामता. 7.1 Shri Bhagavan Vacha Maya Sakta Manapata Yogam Yunjan Madashaya Asamsayam Samagrammam Yatha Jnanasi Tachrunu. Then 10.8 Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo Mata Sarvam Pravartate Ti Matva Pachatte Mam Uttabhava Samanvita. 10.9 Matchitta Matkata Prana Bodhayanta Parasparam Kathayantas Chamam Nityam Tushyanti Cha Ramanti Cha. Now 9.33 is not a key memorization verse, so you can remember the essence where Krishna says that having come to this miserable material world, engage in my devotional service. Of course, you will also remember 18.66. Sarva dharman parityaja maham ekam sharanam braja aham tvam sarva papebhyo moksheshyami masucha. Few Bhagavatam verses I will quote. 2.3.10 Kama sarva kamava moksha kama udarati tivrena bhakti yogena yajade purusham param. Then there are few verses from Canto 1, Chapter 2, verse 16, 17, 18. Beautiful verses. 16 says, Shushusho Shraddhanasya Vasudeve Katharuchi Swetmat Seva Vipraha Punyatirtha Nishvena. 17 says, Shranvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravanam Kirtana Ridi Antostohi Apatrani Vidunoti Sruvat Satam. And 1.2.18 says, Nasta Praveshu Abhatreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Now, I have already given you a lot of verses to remember. So you can remember and chant the way I chanted, all these verses one after the other, or it can just be in English, or it can just be knowing the essence. What did that verse say? 4.34 is spiritual master verse. So I'm trying to remember my spiritual master. Right? So that should be the idea. That whether or not you remember the whole verse, try to remember the essence. So basically we are trying to use Krishna through Krishna's words to overwhelm our mind with Krishna's words, overwhelm in a positive way, so that the misery is non-existent or you don't feel. And of course, I would also recommend that listen to Srila Prabhupada's japa or your living spiritual master's japa. I will pause here for any questions, comments, realizations with inquiry number 1. Does that help?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
All right, thank you. So we have quite a few questions today. Let's go fast. Question number 2. Was it Parikshit Maharaj's desire to be delivered from material existence or Krishna's desire to bring Parikshit Maharaj to him? So we read in Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1 that it was Krishna's desire to get Srimad Bhagavatam to the world. Krishna used his pure devotee Parikshit Maharaj to get Bhagavatam for all of us. Parikshit Maharaj and pure devotees are focused on service wherever it be, whether here in material world or in spiritual world. It does not matter. Parikshit Maharaj and pure devotees are always in constant remembrance of Krishna. Hence, wherever they are, it is Vaikuntha. So where is the question of leaving? Does that answer the inquiry? All right. Point number 3 is not a question, but a realization. So Vash, you want to read point number 3 highlighted in green on the screen?
Hare Krishna. I am very dirty from inside and I get irritated when someone hurts me or breaks my trust. I have a long way to go through improve my qualities. Hare Krishna.
So this is super excellent realization. We have discussed this at the start of Bhagavad Gita, that Bhagavad Gita is going to shine a light on your own self and you will be able to see that, oh, I am so dirty from inside. Now, this ability to see your own self that I am dirty is actually a very, very good thing. Super excellent. Because only when you know that you are dirty is when you will be able to work on cleansing yourself. And the solution is chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, doing devotional services are the processes to cleanse yourself. Question number 4. So, Srimad Bhagavatam 1.9.36 last para says, it is mentioned as that as soon as the Lord finds that a particular soul is very eager to go back to Godhead, the Lord at once sends his bona fide representative. So question is, can you please elaborate this a bit in detail with sharing of your personal experiences, if any? So I'll play a short video here and we'll read some verses. The video is that a prisoner desired to get initiated. It's a long story. We'll hear a brief in the video that I'm about to play. So my spiritual master, His Grace Vaisesika Das Adhikari, initiated a prisoner in prison house. And this prisoner is now blissful in the prison and is now preaching Krishna consciousness in the prison. So let's first hear and we'll then discuss.
In America, there was this one person who was put behind bars. It's a real story. He ended up killing 2 people who are not white and he was put behind bars. And so he was inside the jail, and somehow by the kind arrangement of Nityananda Prabhu, he got in contact with ISKCON's prison ministry and got inspired. And after that inspiration, he started chanting. He started chanting 16 rounds. He started reading books and was so inspired that now he was aspiring for initiation, all inside the jail. Now, how do you get initiation inside the jail? You have to be at least outside, right? To even approach a guru, you have to be outside. Kahan se diksha lenge? So inside the jail, he was every day meditating that how I can get initiation. And somehow he got in touch with Sripad Vaisesika Prabhu from ISKCON of Silicon Valley. And when Vaisesika Prabhu heard this story, he got in correspondence with this jail person who was there behind bars. And look at Vaisesika Prabhu's compassion. He flew to Phoenix, Arizona, where this person was put behind bars, met him inside the jail, initiated him, and gave him the name Balavan Nitai Das. Now he's inside the jail chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, initiated devotee, and he's blissful. So when the other inmates ask him, how are you so blissful? He gives them the Bhagavad Gita. Now he is doing preaching inside.
Questions, comments, realizations?
Prabhuji, nothing is impossible. It is my realization.
Very good. And that's exactly the verse we'll read now that it's 3.31.21 at the last paragraph where Prabhupada explains that Krishna consciousness cannot be checked in any circumstances. So we have 3:31:21. Shreyonshi will read the last paragraph, which says it may be questioned herein. Shreyonshi.
Just a moment, Prabhuji. It may be questioned herein how the child can be fully Krishna conscious within the womb of the mother without any paraphernalia with which to execute Krishna consciousness. It is not necessary to arrange a paraphernalia to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu. The child wants to remain within the abdomen of its mother and at the same time wants to become free from the clutches of Maya. One does not need any material arrangement to cultivate Krishna consciousness. One can cultivate Krishna consciousness anywhere and everywhere, provided he can always think of Krishna. The Mahamantra Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare can be chanted even within the abdomen of one's mother. One can chant while sleeping, while working, while imprisoned in the womb of or while outside. This Krishna consciousness cannot be checked in any circumstance. The conclusion of the child's prayer is, let me remain in this condition. Although it is very miserable, it is better not to fall a victim to Maya again by going outside.
So this Krishna consciousness movement cannot be checked. You can remember Krishna anywhere. So this Canto 3, Chapter 31 is the soul's movement within the womb of a mother. You will soon hear that many people think it is very nice to take birth. You will soon hear that the womb is a very miserable place. And hearing this chapter, you would not like to take birth again. And similarly was the situation for Dhruv Maharaj. I have 4.8.25 on the screen. So Dhruv Maharaj also left his home, 5-year-old boy, goes to forest. And Krishna saw this and he sends Srila Narad Muni as spiritual master for him. Premia, 4.8.25 translation purport from screen.
Hare Krishna. The great sage Narada overheard this news and understanding all the activities of Dhruva Maharaja, he was struck with wonder. He approached Dhruva and touching the boy's head with his all virtuous hand, he spoke as follows. Purport. When Dhruva Maharaja was talking with his mother, Suniti, of all the incidents that had taken place in the palace, Narada was not present. Thus the question may be raised how Narada overheard all these topics. The answer is that Narada is Trikalajna, He is so powerful that he can understand the past, future, and present of everyone's heart, just like the Super Soul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, after understanding the strong determination of Dhruva Maharaja, Narada came to help him. It may be explained in this way. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is present in everyone's heart, and as soon as he understands that the living entity is serious about entering devotional service, he sends his representative. In this way, Narada was sent to Dhruva Maharaja. This is explained in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Guru Krishna Prasade Paya Bhakti Lada Bija. By the grace of the spiritual master and Krishna, one can enter into devotional service. Because of Dhruva Maharaja's determination, Krishna, the Super Soul, immediately sent his representative Narada to initiate him.
Right, so Krishna is present in the heart. As soon as he sees that the soul is serious about devotional service, that's when he sends the bona fide spiritual master to initiate. Now, the question started from 1936, and 1936 in the last paragraph purport also has the same point, that this depends on the sincerity of the devotee himself. When the Lord sees the sincerity, that's when he sends the bona fide spiritual master to initiate the devotee. Now, these examples of Dhruv Maharaj and Parikshit Maharaj may seem too far in the past. So I'll give you a live example of Archana from our other batch, just very recent in the last couple of weeks. So I had met many of you offline for your initiation desires and discussion, including Archana. And I had sent a message to a mentor for Archana. So mentor is the step one for your initiation process. So I sent a message to the mentor and I never heard back from the mentor. I didn't know what was going on. Anyway, Archana and we were just waiting and waiting and waiting to hear back from the mentor. Some 2 months passed. And then Archana traveled to Mayapur. So this is Archana and her son, Devraj, Vaikunta kid. So they are in Mayapur doing book distribution and devotional services. We have few pictures. So the day Archana came back to Toronto, that's the day I got a message back from the mentor. Oh, Archana, I had to contact with Archana. So this is a live example that when Krishna sees the sincerity of the devotee, that's when he sends the bona fide spiritual master. So in this case, the mentor is the starting point to get the spiritual master. And I'm hoping all this help with the inquiry, everybody.
Yes, Prabhuji.
All right, thank you. Question number 5. Why Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is called as Mahaprabhu? So we have read in Bhagavad Gita 5.14. I have on the screen. So this is Bhagavad Gita 5.14 where the word Prabhu is used. So if you look at the translation, the Prabhu refers to the master of the city or body, means the soul within the body is called the master or called as Prabhu. And if you go to the next verse, 5.15, the contrast is Vibhu. Vibhu refers to the Supreme Lord or the Super Soul. Now, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared as a devotee, right? So he is a devotee. Therefore, he can be called as Prabhu, although he's Supreme Personality of Godhead. But to emphasize that it's Supreme Personality of Godhead in the mood of devotee, therefore the Maha is added. Maha Prabhu. So Krishna comes as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. Krishna is Mahatma. Krishna is Purushottama. Hence he is called Mahaprabhu, that he is the greatest. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Question number 6. Is there any difference between Das and Goswami? So Das means servant and Goswami means master of senses. Goswami is also a Das, means he is servant of Krishna. But Das may not be Goswami, means Das may not necessarily be the master of senses. He may be in the progression, but he may not be Goswami. Does that answer?
Yes.
Thank you. Question number 7. From Bhagavatam 1.19.29. Why does this verse specifically mention Vishnu and not Krishna? Is there a difference in this context or the type of protection? Maharaj Parikshit, who is also known as Vishnu Rata, or one who is always protected by Vishnu. One line answer, there is no difference in protection whether Vishnu protects or Krishna protects. Kunal, you have a question?
Yeah, Prabhuji. So these days, like I've heard many devotees calling Mataji also Prabhu. So
You are
is that
correct.
like prescribed or is it like by choice or something?
Yeah, you are correct. So we read in 5.14, Prabhu refers to the soul within the body, right? So Mataji also is the soul. So you can call Mataji also Prabhu. And many times I also say, I will call everybody's names and I will say Prabhus, right? Which has Vaishnavi and Vaishnavas. And I will call everybody as Prabhus. So you can call Mataji as Mataji, or can call them as Prabhus also, or you can call Prabhu Mataji. Either way. Kunal.
Okay, Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
You will see at the Toronto Temple, His Grace Dharma Prana Prabhu. He will always call everybody as Prabhu. Vaishnavis or Vaishnav, he will always call everybody as Prabhu. Because he's a pure devotee. He sees everybody as a soul. Thank you. Question number 8. Why did the sages give different answers to Parikshit Maharaj? Were they not elevated souls, or was this also due to the effects of Kali Yuga? So you will soon hear the discussion in upcoming lectures in Canto 2 that sages had different conceptions. Hence, someone gave the advice to study Vedas to achieve heaven. Someone said do some austerities, etc. There were different prescriptions given because there was no consensus. Srila Sukadeva Goswami came and addressed all these by saying in Canto 2, Chapter 3, verses 2 to 7, it's a very long list of demigods, that other paths, such as demigod worship, are lower paths. And these lower paths are not to be performed. As well as Sukadeva Goswami goes on to explain in Bhagavatam 2.3.10 as well as throughout Bhagavatam. And he establishes that bhakti is the highest. So I recited 2.3.10 a little while earlier and I'll recite again. It's a beautiful verse. Akama sarva kamava, moksha kama udarati, tivrena bhakti yogena yajate purusham param. That whether you have no material desires, whether you have material desires, or whether you want liberation, by all means, one should worship the personality of God. Therefore, the third line says, Tivrena Bhakti Yogena, that by all endeavor should be to worship the Lord. So, Sukadeva Goswami answered Parikshit Maharaj's both questions. What to do is to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, is to do bhakti. And what not to do is to not worship demigods, not be a Grahamedi. Grahamedi is materialistic person attached to family life. So all this discussion is coming up very, very soon in the upcoming lectures in Canto 2. Does that help for the time being?
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji.
Very good. Thank you. Question number 9. Since Brahmana community may act in vanity and misuse the benefits of such a birth, a non-devotee can feel repelled by such Brahmana actions and run away from scriptures or mantras if that is their first experience. Many people can cling to their first experience as the only experience. In that case, how to be an instrument to such a person and share some evidence from scriptures to raise their faith in the Lord. So we have discussed that Brahmana may not be the highest, but you do not need to mention this to a non-devotee. Very important. Don't mention this fact that Brahmana is not the highest to the non-devotee, because they will get defensive and they will get repelled against you also. So you can point them to Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, verses 24 to 27, where Krishna says, these auspicious and inauspicious things do not matter for a devotee, because Krishna takes care of the devotee, that Krishna becomes the swift deliverer of the devotee engaged in devotional service. Raksha, you want to read 24 to 27 translation, chapter 8, Bhagavad Gita?
Yes, Prabhuji. 24 to 27, right?
Correct.
Those who know the Supreme Brahman attain the Supreme by passing away from the world during the influence of the fiery god in the light at an auspicious moment of the day, during the fortnight of the waxing moon, or during the 6th month when the sun travels in the north. Text 25. The mystic who passes away from this world during the smoke, the night, the fortnight of the waning moon, or the 6 months when the sun passes to the south, reaches the moon planet but again comes back. Text 26. According to Vedic opinion, there are two ways of passing from this world, one in light and one in darkness. When one passes in light, he does not come back.
Sorry, continue.
But when one passes in darkness, he returns. Text 27. Although the devotees who know these two paths, O Arjuna, they are never bewildered. Therefore, be always fixed in devotion.
Right, so devotees know the auspicious and inauspicious paths, but they are not bewildered. Therefore, be fixed in devotion. So this is what you tell to the non-devotee, that the auspicious paths and the inauspicious paths, devotees know, but it doesn't matter, because Krishna has explained in Bhagavad Gita chapter 12, verses 6 and 7, that I become the swift deliverer of the devotee. Priyanka, 6 and 7 translation, chapter 12.
But those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service and always meditating upon me, having fixed their minds upon me, O son of Partha, O son of Pritha, for them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. Thank you.
Right? Krishna says in 8.27 we read that be fixed on bhakti. The result is explained here. Krishna says, I become the swift deliverer of the devotee from the ocean of birth and death. And you have the visual for this also on the screen, that Krishna comes on Garuda and picks the devotee from the ocean of material existence. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Thank you. Now, further, the discussion will continue in upcoming verse, that instead of serving a false Brahmana, serve a Vaishnava for auspicious results. So let's continue, and we'll read, and it will further help this inquiry as well. Question number 10. Is the Lord purposefully causing Brahmana degradation in Kali Yuga so that we can make conscious efforts for him and learn to search for his devotees? So it's not the Lord, rather degradation of Brahmana community is a symptom of Kali. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, it explains that demons will take birth as Brahmana. Hence, they will continue the demoniac activities as a even though they are born as a Brahmana. And therefore, the verse we'll read is 4:21-40, which explains that Sir Brahmana, and then Prabhupada goes on to explain that he clarifies that demons have taken birth as Brahmana, therefore best is to serve the Vaishnava. So I'll bring up 4:21-40 on screen, and Polomi can read the translation and purport.
Hare Krishna. Translation. By regular service to Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, one can clear the dirt from his heart and thus enjoy supreme peace and liberation from material attachment and be satisfied. In this world, there is no fruitive activity superior to serving the Brahmana class, for this can bring pleasure to the demigods, for whom many sacrifices are recommended. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita 2.65, it is said, Prasade sarva dukhanam hanir ashopa jayate. Unless one is self-satisfied, he cannot be free from the miserable conditions of material existence. Therefore, it is essential to render service to the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas and to achieve the perfection of self-satisfaction. Sri Narottama Das Thakura therefore says, Tandera Charana Chevi Bhakta Shane Vasa Janame Janame Hoye Ei Abhilasha. Birth after birth, I have the desire to serve the lotus feet of the Acharyas and live in a society of devotees. A spiritual atmosphere can be maintained only by living in a society of devotees and by serving the order of the Acharyas. The spiritual master is the best Brahmana. At present, in the age of Kali, it is very difficult to render service to the Brahmana Kula or the Brahmana class. The difficulty, according to the Varaha Purana, is that demons taking advantage of Kali Yuga have taken birth in Brahmana families. Rakshasa Salim Asrishtya Jayante Brahma Joni Su, Varaha Purana states. In other words, in this age, there are many so-called caste Brahmanas and caste Goswamis who take advantage of the Shastra and of the innocent people in general, claim to be Brahmanas and Vaishnavas by hereditary right.
One will not derive any benefit by rendering service to such false Brahmana kulas. One must therefore take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master and his association and should also render service to them. For such activity will greatly help the neophyte in attaining full satisfaction. This has been very clearly explained by Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura in his explanation of the verse Vyavasyaya Atmika Buddhi Ekeha Kuru Nandana. By actually following the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga as recommended by Srila Narottama Dasa Thakura, one can very quickly come to the transcendent platform of liberation as explained in this verse, Atyanta Samam.
Right, so the Varaha Purana clearly explains that the Brahmanas are actually demons from before, and they are continuing their demoniac activities even though they are born as Brahmana. And therefore, it is very difficult to serve these so-called caste Brahmanas and caste Goswamis. No, Brahmana is not by birth. Brahmana is to be by guna and karma. So you see, specifically, it's very visible in India that these Brahmanas, they do all sorts of nonsense behind the scenes. They come for doing so-called yagyas, and then they demand so much Lakshmi as Dakshina. Well, you should not be demanding. So best is to serve a Vaishnava, a bona fide spiritual master, because they will simply engage you in Krishna's service. And whatever, say you give some Lakshmi to a Vaishnava, they will anyway use it in Krishna's service. So many of you remember that last time when my spiritual master came, or the other time when His Grace Chitrachanas came to Toronto, and some of you gave Lakshmi in an envelope. On top of the envelope, what did we write? Please engage in Krishna's service. So they're not using the Lakshmi for themselves. They're using it in Krishna's service. While these Brahmanas, or so-called Brahmanas, are actually demons in a Brahmana body, they take all this money and they demand so much money and they use it for their enjoyment. So we don't need to follow all that. Does that answer with this inquiry and the previous one as well?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. This helps a lot.
Next question is just a continuation, that 11. Is it possible that Brahmana did not chant the Mahamantra consistently? If we do it consistently, then we can avoid being jealous of great souls. So we just discussed that in Kali Yuga, demons have taken birth as Brahmanas. And yes, by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, by doing devotional services, we get cleansed and develop all the good qualities. Therefore, we respect all living beings. Does that help further?
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, just one query within this. The first starting point is the prasada and the mantra, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That's the first starting point, right? The desire to the Lord.
Correct.
That is something we can do from our side. The mantra is something we have control over. Not always a devotee association in person, but mantra, so that we can do, right?
Correct. And your association also helps. And when you share somebody the books, so they also get the association of Srila Prabhupada and Krishna. So association, mantra, and then prasad are starting points, as well as engage them in service. Right? Without disturbing them, Krishna has explained in 3.26 that do not disturb materialistic people. Just engage them. Do these 4 things. Very easy. Preaching becomes very easy. Right? You're not disturbing anybody. Just give them prasad, give them mantra, give them books, engage them in service, and Krishna will take care of the soul to bring them closer and closer in devotional path.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Very good. Thank you. Question number 12. Why is it common to be blinded by temporary material validation. Is the consistent chanting of Lord's name the only and the first step towards a long-term solution? Does the Srimad Bhagavatam mention any verse on this instant material gratification, the long-term solution? So throughout Srimad Bhagavatam, chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, doing devotional services is the solution provided. So you will start hearing all this from the start of Canto 2, from the next recording of the previous path. So I'm not going to go into pointing all those verses. Is essentially the whole of Bhagavatam. But the point is, yes, chanting Hare Krishna and doing devotional services are the long-term and the only solution. Now, about the first part in terms of why we are blinded by material energy, we'll read these verses 3.30, 0.4 and 5. So Mahadevi has energies which make people in their respective bodies to like their respective bodies, even if the body is abominable. Example, a hog likes to eat stool. So Indra, the king of heaven, one time became a hog due to a curse. Now Brahmaji came to talk to Indra in the hog body that give up the hog body and come back to heaven. You are king of demigods. But Indra said, no, I am very happy eating stool. All this is because of Maya's deluding energy. Avaratmika and Prakshapatmika. So we'll read this Bhagavatam 3.30.4 and 5. Translation and purports one at a time to understand why all of us are captivated by our respective bodies. Path Prabhu, so this is 334 and we'll also read 5. Path Prabhu, number 4, translation purport. Unmute.
Hare Krishna, Srimad Bhagavatam 334. The living entity in whatever species of life he appears finds a particular type of satisfaction in that species, and he is never averse to being situated in such a condition. Should I read the purport also?
Yes.
The satisfaction of the living entity in a particular type of body, even if it is most abominable, is called illusion. A man in a higher position may feel dissatisfaction with the standard of life of a lower grade man, but the lower grade man is satisfied in that position because of the spell of Maya, the external energy. Maya has two phases of activities. One is called Prakshapatmika and the other is called Avaranatmika. Avaranatmika means covering, and Prakshapatmika means pulling down. In any condition of life, the materialistic person or animal will be satisfied because his knowledge is covered by the influence of Maya. In the lower grade of lower species of life, the development of consciousness is so poor that one cannot understand whether he is happy or distressed. This is called Avaranatmika. Even a hog who lives by eating stool finds himself happy, although a person in a higher mode of life sees that the hog is eating stool. How abominable that life is.
Very good. Lakshmi will read verse 5, translation and purport. It's a continuation.
Hare Krishna. The conditioned living entity. The conditioned living entity is satisfied in his own particular species of life, while deluded by the covering influence of the illusory energy. He feels little inclined to cast off his body even when in hell, for he takes delight in hellish enjoyment. Purport. It is said that once Indra, the king of heaven, was cursed by his spiritual master Brihaspati on account of his misbehavior, and he became a hog on this planet. After many days, when Brahma wanted to recall him to his heavenly kingdom, Indra, in the form of a hog, forgot everything of his royal position in the heavenly kingdom, and he refused to go back. This is the spell of Maya. Even Indra forgets his heavenly standard of life and is satisfied with the standard of a hog's life. By the influence of Maya, the conditioned soul becomes so affectionate towards his particular type of body that if he is offered, give up this body and immediately you will have a king's body, he will not agree. This attachment strongly affects all conditioned living entities. Lord Krishna is personally canvassing, give up everything in this material world, come to me, and I shall give you all protection. But we are not agreeable. We think we are quite all right. Why should we surrender unto Krishna and go back to his kingdom? This is called illusion or Maya. Everyone is satisfied with his standard of living, however abominable it may be. Hare Krishna.
Right? We think we are quite all right. No matter how abominable the standard is. This is the spell of Maya. And therefore, everything happens in the material world. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji. And Prabhuji, one follow-up question. Is there any section that says how Indra came out of that?
He comes out that his curse gets ended. So there was a big curse will have a beginning and end. I don't think it's there in Bhagavatam, but he comes out. I mean, all these incidents are meant for us to learn, right?
If such things can happen to Indra, it's like it can also happen to us.
Exactly.
To accept that such, right?
Exactly. That's exactly is the point that King of Indra is thinking he's happy eating stool in a hog's body. Brahmaji came, Hare, Baba, you are king of heaven. Come back. And he says, no, I am happy. What are you talking? We find ourselves very comfortable no matter how abominable it is. So we have to come out. And I have described this earlier that why this hog's example and dog's example is explained again and again in Bhagavatam. That somebody will say, or somebody in a hog's body will say, well, why are you complaining or why are you chastising me that I am in a hog's body? I am supposed to act in a hog's body because that's how material nature acts. So why are you complaining or why are you chastising me? The learning is the choice. That even when there is a choice, someone with lower consciousness is not choosing the higher. That's what we have to learn. To learn and take the good advice and act on the good advice. So this is explained in Dhruv Maharaj section in Canto 4, the chapters 8 to about 12, I think, is Dhruv Maharaj chapters in Canto 4. One of the learning, there are many learnings. One of the learning is that devotee means when he gets good advice, he immediately takes that advice and acts on that advice. That when Swayambhava Manu asked Dhruv Maharaj to stop fighting and stop becoming angry and just surrender to the Lord. So that was a good advice given to him. That's the learning. That when somebody gives you good advice, take that good advice and don't be like in a lower consciousness like a hog that, oh, I am comfortable even though it is abominable. Everybody on the same page?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Question number 13 and 14 are linked questions. 13 says, it is clearly stated that monarchy in Krishna consciousness is better than today's democracy. What is the solution to this? Should we go back to monarchy or make the present governance Krishna conscious and stick with democracy, and how? Question 14 says, how to curb economic development? And if to persist, how to make it Krishna conscious? So we'll read Prabhupada's solution to this in Bhagavatam 4.16.5. Prabhupada says that we cannot curb economic development. We cannot curb political issues. What we can and what we should do is to simply chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra because of some devotee chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra in some part of the world, therefore earth is providing the grains. So devotees should not get entangled into politics. Prabhupada clearly has asked us to stay away. Prabhupada has simply given us the solution to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra because we cannot change so much things going on in the material world. So this is 4.16.5. Kunal Prabhu, translation, purport, faster page. We have a lot to cover today.
The king alone in his body will be able in due course of time to maintain all living entities and keep them in a pleasant condition by manifesting himself as different demigods to perform various departmental activities. Thus, he will maintain the upper planetary system by inducing the opulence to perform Vedic sacrifices. In due course of time, he will also maintain this earthly planet by discharging the proper rainfall. Purport: the demigods in charge of the various departmental activities that maintain this world are but assistants to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When an incarnation of Godhead descends to this planet, demigods like the Sun God, the Moon God, or the King of Heaven, Indra, all join him. Consequently, the incarnation of Godhead is able to act for the departmental demigods to keep the plenary systems in order. The protection of the earthly planet is dependent on the proper rainfall, and as stated in Bhagavad Gita and other scriptures, sacrifices are performed to please those demigods who are in charge of rainfall. Annad bhavati bhutani prajyanad anna sambhava yagnat sambhavati pradyano yagnat karma samudbhava. All living bodies subsist on food grains which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performance of yajna, sacrifice, and yajna is born of prescribed duties. Bhagavad Gita 3.14. Thus, the proper execution of yajna sacrifice is required. As indicated herein, King Prithu alone would include all the citizens to engage in such sacrificial activities so that there would not be scarcity or distress. In Kali Yuga, however, in the so-called secular state, the executive branch of the government is in the charge of so-called kings and presidents who are all fools and rascals, ignorant of the intricacies of the nature's causes and ignorant of the principles of sacrifice. Such rascals simply make various plans which always fail, and people subsequently suffer disturbances. To counteract this situation, Shastra's advise Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam eva kevalam, kalau nasteva gatir anyatha. Thus, in order to counteract the unfortunate situation in government, the general populace is advised to chant the Mahamantra Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Right, so
Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada explains the problem. Exactly what question number 13, 14 said, that in Kali Yuga, fools and rascals are sitting as heads, and the result is disturbance to people. And Prabhupada says to counter this situation, the solution is to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Lakshmi?
Hare Krishna. Isn't it expected that in Kali Yuga, like things will and should get worse and worse and worse? Like, why are this? I mean, the question and what we're reading, like, why are we wanting to improve this situation? Or
Yeah, you are
counteract
correct.
it or anything. Like it has to get worse, right? This
You are,
this earth should get worse and worse, right?
you are correct that Kali Yuga is going to become very bad. It's described in Bhagavatam Canto 12 at great length. I do not recommend you to read it. That after this first 10,000 years known as the Satyug within Kali Yuga, of which roughly 9,500 years are left, the real Kali Yuga will flourish. Right now, whatever bad things we are seeing is just a glimpse. It's just a very tiny glimpse to give us all devotees and impetus to get out of the material world. So we are not trying to solve anything here. We cannot solve Kali Yuga. Rather, Prabhupada clearly says, all you have to do is you chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and earth will. So we are only reading a small verse from a whole chapter or a series of unit on this, where Prabhupada goes on to explain that somewhere in the world, because a devotee is chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, therefore the earth is providing the food grains. So as long as we are here, you continue chanting and learn to get out of the world. And Sumnima pointed out correctly in the chat that the advantage of Kali Yuga we discussed and heard in our last recording, 1.18.7, that simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, this is the shortest process that we have in Kali Yuga to go back home, back to Godhead. Lakshmi, does that help?
Yes, thank you. So just to be clear, like we are not trying to create a paradise here on earth, right?
It is not possible to create a paradise to begin with.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Correct. Shrevanshi, you had a question?
Yes, Prabhuji. So, recently, somebody just asked, like, why are you always listening this? And like, I could not answer that. Like, why are you always like, listening to this as if like something can happen? Why this? And I was trying to preach ISKCON to that devotee, but I stopped because I felt like, that person is not receptive. So I like lowered the intensity. I was like, yeah,
Yeah, you are correct that when you notice, so it's correct, you are perfect preacher, that when you notice that somebody is not receptive, then you lower your intensity, give them prasad. You tell them briefly that this is the Sankirtan Yagya is the Yagya for Kali Yuga. You can tell them in brief. And Sankirtan is you chant, you do kirtan, you hear pastimes of the Lord. These are the processes to purify yourself. You can say that in 1 or 2 lines, even if somebody is not receptive, just in 1 or 2 lines. That's the essence. But if you keep talking and talking and talking and talking, you lose the audience because they are anyway not having the taste of spirituality. So here our purpose, why we are discussing in detail, is so that we can become perfect preacher. Perfect preacher is that we read these 18,000 verses and how are we able to tell them one point very relevant in an essence. So Ramya may remember long time ago when Ramya was in Toronto, that one time we were distributing books at a railway station, a subway station. And one person was literally running to catch a train. And this person just paused for, I would say, 3 seconds and said something about demigods. And basically, that was a clue to me that I have to talk to this person about demigods. So I also started running with this person. So this person is running, trying to catch the train. I also started running with this person while I'm trying to explain demigods to this person and the reason why we should not do demigods. How much time did you think I had? Running. That person was actually running. I could barely keep up with this person from point A to point B. That was also a very short distance. And in the process, I was trying to make the point, who are demigods, why demigod worship is not beneficial, worship Krishna. So that's what we should do. That's a perfect preacher level we should aim for, that we read 18,000 verses so that we can narrow down to exactly what that person wants to hear. Everybody can please try that. Shreyanshi, does that help?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Rest of you? All right. Question number 15. What are the 10 offenses committed in chanting the holy names of the Lord? So we already discussed at great length in our Nectar of Devotion discussion. So I have the 10 offenses listed on the screen. Denisha will read the first 5 from the screen. Denisha?
Yes.
Read.
To blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for the propagation of the names of the Lord. 2. To consider the names of demigods like Shiva or Brahma to be equal or independent of the name of Vishnu. 3. To obey the orders of the spiritual master.
Yeah, read.
Disobey.
Read again.
3. To disobey the orders of the spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic literature or literatures in pursuance of the Vedic wisdom. 5. To consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination.
Very good. Padma Kumar, read rest of what you have on the screen. Padma Kumar. Lakshmi can first read and then question.
From 6 to 10, Hare Krishna. To give mundane interpretation on the name of the Lord, to commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting the name, to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, Karma Kanda, to instruct the faithless person about the glories of the name, to not have complete faith in the chanting of the name, and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Anyone who claims to be a Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success. Krishna Prema.
Right, so we have discussed these 10 offenses in great detail in our Nectar of Devotion as well as in our Bhagavad Gita discussion. So you can refresh your memory by looking up that particular recording or get the link from me. And we keep forgetting, that's why we keep revising. So I have mentioned that the Nectar of Devotion revision is happening in the other batches. So you should take advantage of it and listen to the revision recordings if you are not already doing. Some of you are listening to the revision recordings, but not all. So all those who have attended the Nectar of Devotion classes from before should definitely listen to the revision recording. And of course, in this batch, many have completed Nectar of Devotion. Lakshmi, you had a question?
Yes, considering point 2, I've read this before, but suddenly it seems confusing to me. It says to consider the names of like devtas like Shiva and Brahma to be equal to the name of Vishnu. So that's clear. Yeah, they are not equal to Vishnu, so that's an offense. But to consider the names of these demigods as independent of the name of Vishnu, which means they are not independent as the name of Vishnu, which means they have the same name as Vishnu? I'm confused.
So, yeah, both points are valid, that to consider Shiva and Brahma to be equal to, yeah, you don't do that. They are not equal to Vishnu. And the other point is also correct, that Brahma and Shiva are not independent on themselves. They are dependent on Vishnu for whatever services are given to them. So Brahmaji has the service given to him for creation. He is still dependent on Vishnu for creation. Shiva has the service of destruction. He is still dependent on Vishnu. So both points are correct. So don't think that Shiva and Brahma are equal, and also don't think that Shiva and Brahma are independent of Vishnu. Lakshmi.
Yeah, I have to digest this a little bit more.
Yeah, we have discussed this at great length in our Nectar
No,
of
it's just the
Devotion.
wordings of it is just confusing.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. Question number 12. All right, I didn't add the animation here. Why is it common to be blinded by temporary material? Sorry, we are on question 16. My mistake. Question 16. To chant the holy name under the direction of a pure devotee is offenseless chanting. Does this mean that our chanting is not pure unless we get initiated? So in our Nectar of Devotion class on offenses to avoid, we have discussed the symptoms of offenseless chanter are 1. Humbler than grass, 2. Tolerant than a tree, 3. Prideless, and 4. Gives respect to everyone. So here's a question for all of you. Anyone here does offenseless chanting? All of you, please try to answer.
No, Prabhuji.
Rest of you, silence. I don't know what silence means.
Prabhuji, I am on the way of purifying myself to adopt the new attitude.
Okay, Lakshmi.
Is it possible to read what that verse says? Like, it might help to understand what the question is. What does that verse say? 118:19.
So 118:19, there was this point which is there in the question, that to chant the holy name under the direction of a pure devotee is offenseless chanting. So my question is, so I described that the qualities or the symptoms of offenseless chanter are: 1 is that he is humbler than a grass, 2 tolerant than a tree, 3 prideless, and 4 gives respect to everyone. Therefore I asked, is anyone doing offenseless chanting?
No.
All right. Rest of you are still silent. I don't know what silence means. So getting initiated from a bona fide spiritual master can help with chanting, but initiation is not the criteria. It is up to the devotee to cultivate offenseless chanting. Many devotees continue offenses even after initiation. So even if you are doing offensive chanting right now, still do not stop chanting. Continue chanting, because offensive chanting will lead to pure chanting. Just as child keeps falling while learning to walk, if the child says he will not walk, then he will never be able to walk. But every time child gets up and walks again, the result is that the child will go on to run a 100-meter race or a marathon, etc. Therefore, do not stop chanting, even if it is offensive. Failure begins when you stop attempting. Does that help with the inquiry? Number 17 from Bhagavatam 1.18.41. Even if there is something wrong with the king, he is never to be condemned. How to understand this? As kings could be demoniac too, like Kamsa. Also, did this lead to the kings being puffed up, leading to their degradation in Kali age? So king is supposed to be representative of Krishna. When king follows the instructions of Krishna and guides citizens to get out of material entanglement, then the king is ideal, otherwise not. So of course, here it says king is never to be condemned is when king is ideal king. There is example of, say, Vena, who got puffed up. He was a demoniac king to begin with. Got so puffed up, and he, in the Bhagavatam, in the verse says, the Vena himself says, I am Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why you sages are doing sacrifices to somebody else? You should do sacrifice and offer everything to me. The sages go on to kill this Vena because he became too offensive. So you have to understand according to the context, not blindly take the statement, right? Ideal is, yes, king is ideal king, then he is representative. Does that help with the inquiry? All right, question number 18. Anything sent by God is a blessing for a devotee. Is there any way to understand if it is sent by God or is it prarabdha karma? So everything sent to the jiva is approved by the Lord, period. Question number 19. As we discussed before, Brahmana's son curse was the first sign of Kali, or maybe king being a pure devotee happened to do that misdeed with Brahmana was the first sign of Kali. So we have discussed this in Bhagavatam 1.9.25. Lord's pure devotee like Bhishma Dev, although apparently living as a worldly man, is far superior to many great sages. So Bhishma Dev was lying on the bed of arrows. Therefore, one should have not asked him any question at that time. But Lord Shri Krishna wanted to prove to the world that his pure devotees are always sound in body and mind by dint of their spiritual enlightenment. And therefore, in all circumstances, Lord's devotee is in perfect order to speak and act in the right way of life. So it's not Parikshit Maharaj, it's the Brahmana's son doing wrong. And that discussion about the Brahmana's son is coming up in next inquiry. We'll read that verse. Does that help with the inquiry for the time being? Question number 20. Could you please again describe humility and turbulence part discussed in the last class? So from batch number 3 and 4, recording number 38, starting around 1 hour 54 minute, is the discussion on the humility and turbulence. That some devotee pretend they are at a very high platform. But true humility is in Parikshit Maharaj's mood. Parikshit Maharaj never found fault with anyone, and Parikshit Maharaj did not say in a puffed up manner that my entire family is devoted to the Lord. And Parikshit Maharaj could have countered the curse, but he did not. So the first sign of humility is that you do not react. Otherwise, your humility is artificial. So even if you are not able to follow at the core of your heart, but continue to practice, just as I did described in the recording, at the cricket example, that the bowler is, or the pitcher is trying to learn to bowl the Yorker to get the batsman out. But he is practicing again and again and again till he perfects. So you also practice. So when you start practicing honestly, there will actually be a lot of turbulence from inside. That is correct. You should have turbulence. We are all not robots, right? We do have feelings. So if somebody hurts our feelings, we should have turbulence. But humility is that you do not react in the same negative way like how the other person has hurt you. If your humility is artificial, then there will be no turbulence inside you. So you know that you are not supposed to react to a challenging situation. But you should feel the turbulence. This is your step number one. That when you feel the turbulence, otherwise the humility is artificial. And realize that this will go through several attempts. There is no magic number. You will have to judge for yourself that initially you may not realize, you will just react. But as you keep practicing, you will realize not to react. You will just realize, wait a minute, that's the turbulence. I notice the turbulence. Now I don't need to react. Only when you realize that I don't want to react, and you realize that this is the plan of the Lord, that's the approach. That's the practice you have to do again and again and again and again to perfect your humility, to perfect your tolerance. So your commitment to follow this rule will be directly dependent on how much you are following. If you are following 80%, then your result will be 80%. If your commitment is very low, 5, 10, 20%, then result is also 5, 10, 20%, means it will take longer to realize. Does that help with the inquiry? I basically repeated from what you already heard.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So in this section, when you say if there is like humility is artificial, then we don't get any turbulence. So is that mean we just ignore of the situation, or we don't really care what people say, like that, Prabhuji?
No, you don't ignore, you react. Right? It's not ignorance. If you look at the material world, one person will fight with the other at the tiniest of provocation. He's reacting. He's not ignoring, right? He's reacting. That is not humility. But you have to have turbulence. You have to have realization that you have to see your turbulence from within. And you have to then think, wait a minute, this is the turbulence. Now I don't have to react. This is the plan of the Lord to teach me. Right? You don't just ignore. No, you have to have turbulence. If you don't have turbulence, then you are like a robot. You don't have feelings. Subhash?
Got it, Prabhuji, now. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Very good. Question number 21. As Sukadeva Goswami left home right after his birth, how did Srila Vyasadeva teach Bhagavatam to Sukadeva Goswami? So we have discussed this in Canto 1 that Srila Vyasadeva called out for his son Sukadeva Goswami when Sukadeva Goswami was leaving. Srila Vyasadeva called out to Sukadeva Goswami not because Srila Vyasadeva wanted Sukadeva Goswami to take care of Srila Vyasadeva when Srila Vyasadeva becomes old. No, rather Srila Vyasadeva called out for Sukadeva Goswami so that Srila Vyasadeva could deliver Srimad Bhagavatam to Sukadeva Goswami. So we have discussed this and we'll read again Canto 1, Chapter 3, verses 40, 41, 42 as the answer to this. So I have on screen Bhagavatam Canto 1, Chapter 3, and we are reading 40, 41, 42 translations. Raksha will read.
Yes, Prabhuji. This Srimad Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of God, and it is compiled by Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of God. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people, and it is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Text 41. Sri Vyasadeva delivered it to his son, who is the most respected among the self-realized, after extracting the cream of all Vedic literatures and histories of the universe. Text 42. Sukadev Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, in his turn delivered the Bhagavatam to the great Emperor Parikshit, who sat surrounded by sages on the bank of the Ganges, awaiting death without taking food or drink. Hare Krishna.
Right, so Srila Vyasadeva delivered Bhagavatam to Sukadeva Goswami. Clearly says here. Does that answer the inquiry? Last question for today. What and who was the specific boost or reason the young Brahmana boy Shringi gave up or gave, not gave up? I'll read the question again. What and who was the specific boost or reason the young Brahmana boy Shringi gave for taking it upon himself to punish Parikshit Maharaj? So in Bhagavatam 1.18.33 purport, we'll read these verses very soon. It explains that Shringi was lacking in culture because of being inexperienced. Then in 34, translation also continues, and then in 35 purport, the first line says, the inexperienced Brahmana puffed up by a little Brahmana Tejas became influenced by the spell of Kali Yuga. So the answer is that being puffed up resulted in being influenced by Kali so that Kali could get an opportunity to flourish, became the causes of Shringi cursing Parikshit Maharaj. So I will bring up on screen a 1:18, 33, 34, 35 translations first. Priyanka will read 33, 34, 35 translations, and then we'll read the 35 purport also.
Krishna. Verse 33 translation. The Brahmana's son Shringi said, oh, just look at the sins of the rulers who, like crows and watchdogs at the door, perpetrate sins against their masters, contrary to the principles governing servants. Text 34. The descendants of the kingly orders are definitely designated as watchdogs, and they must keep themselves at the door. On what grounds can dogs enter the house and claim to dine with the master on the same plate? 35 translation. After the departure of Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead and supreme ruler of everyone, these upstarts have flourished, our protector being born. Therefore, I myself shall take up the matter and punish them. Just witness my power.
35 purport.
Purport. The inexperienced Brahmana, puffed up by a little Brahma Tejas, became influenced by the spell of Kali Yuga. Maharaj Parikshit gave license to Kali to live in 4 places as mentioned herein before. But by his very expert government, the personality of Kali could hardly find the places allotted to him. The personality of Kali Yuga, therefore, was seeking the opportunity to establish authority, and by the grace of the Lord, he found a hole in the puffed up, inexperienced son of a Brahmana. The little Brahmana wanted to show his prowess in destruction, and he had the audacity to punish such a great king as Maharaj Parikshit. He wanted to take the place of Lord Krishna after his departure. These are the principal signs of upstarts who want to take place of Sri Krishna under the influence of the age of Kali. An upstart with a little power wants to become an incarnation of the Lord. There are many false incarnations after the departure of Lord Krishna from the face of the globe, and they are misleading the innocent public by accepting the spiritual obedience of the general mass of public to maintain false prestige. In other words, the personality of Kali got the opportunity to reign through this son of a Brahmana, Shringi.
Right, he got puffed up, and by this, Kali got the opportunity to flourish. Does that answer the inquiry? So it's a milestone for all of you. Congratulations to all of you for completing Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1. Thank you all for your diligence in completing this. And I will now send next recording in sequence, which will start with Canto 2, Chapter 1 onwards. So we'll continue the same process. Canto 2 is very small. It's 10 chapters, and that too straightforward. Although I shouldn't say straightforward. Portion of Canto 2 is very, very technical on the creation part. So we'll continue the same process. Thank you all for your continued mercy with your inquiries. Because of your so much inquiries, I got to research on Krishna Katha topics and speak so much Krishna Katha. Thank you all. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Prabhuji.